but I saw the video. The video is actually very clear and it's very good from the school. Okay?
It showed.
An officer tells a driver, on record, that the school's video does not show what he says happened. That line is the whole case, because it means the first official read of the evidence was wrong, and nobody in that moment knew it yet. Picture a rifle slung at a man's side. Then picture that same rifle raised level with a car window, barrel pointed through glass at a stranger's face. Two positions, two totally different crimes. Whether the weapon moved from one to the other was, for a while, a question only cameras could answer, because the two men standing in that intersection could not agree on anything else.
A morning school drop-off takes a dangerous and criminal turn when a driver is accused of nearly hitting a school security guard.
Before we go deeper into what the records actually show, make sure you're subscribed to the Crime Infinity, because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. March 23rd, 2026, just before 9 in the morning. Margate, Florida, a quiet suburb north of Fort Lauderdale, outside the Lovitch Hebrew Academy. School drop-off traffic is backed up along the main road, and a contracted armed security guard named Coron Brown is out in the street trying to keep it moving.
It was a case of he said, he said. He said he was hit by a car. He said someone pointed a gun at him. Well, someone was arrested for something. It's March 23rd, 2026. We're in Margate, Florida, a city about 30 minutes north of Fort Lauderdale. It's just before 9 a.m. when officers with the Margate Police Department are dispatched to the Lovitch Hebrew Academy. Now, when officers initially respond, they learn that a security guard was hit in the leg by
a driver, identified in the case file as Tom, 47 years old, on his way to work, is easing his car forward through the gap Brown is supposed to be holding open. What happens in the next 60 seconds produces two irreconcilable accounts. Brown tells responding officers that Tom ignored his signal to stop, kept inching the car forward, and eventually made contact with his leg. In fear of being run down, Brown says he drew his firearm, but kept it at his side, a defensive posture, nothing more. Tom tells a different story entirely. He says that after his car tapped Brown, Brown didn't just draw the weapon. He says Brown walked to the driver's side window, raised the rifle, and pointed the barrel directly at his face through the glass, and said the words, "Are you crazy? I'll kill you."
Yep.
So what's going on?
So I'm driving down the road here on my way to work. There are, two security guards that direct traffic. I was pulling up. There was traffic backed up to, my car, and he was telling me I had to let through more cars. I'm like, no, this is where I'm at in traffic. I'm going through, so they have to wait till there's a break in traffic or whatever. So I inched up closer to the person in front of me, and he walked around my vehicle. He put his hands on the front of my hood, pulled his rifle. He's like, "Are you crazy? Whatever." Then he walks to my driver's side window, pulls the rifle like this, points it. It's right here. The barrel's right here. I'm looking down the barrel. He said, "Are you crazy? I'll kill you." I said, What I said was, "You're not like law enforcement. Like, you don't direct traffic. Like, I'm in traffic. Whatever." Like, it was a simple thing. He just has, I guess, a power trip or whatever, and he literally pointed the rifle directly at my face through my window of my car.
Okay.
Like, I didn't expect my morning to go like that. I carry a gun on my side. I have my gun. Like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to do all that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
One version has a rattled security guard defending himself from a moving vehicle. The other has an armed man threatening to execute a stranger over a traffic dispute. Both cannot be true. And for a few hours that morning, the Margate Police Department believed only one of them.
So basically,
You see this exit over here?
Okay. That entrance right, or that exit? Okay.
So we try to, mitigate traffic as best as we can because we have a lot of parents coming in and out of here.
Yeah.
So when 441 gets backed up to the point where the line's like back here, we leave an opening so our parents can exit and we send them all this way.
Okay.
So as to not, keep traffic.
I understand.
So I was doing that, and again, there's nowhere to go, but the guy keeps inching forward. I'm like, hey, hold on, stop for a second. Let me just get these cars out. He keeps coming forward. I'm like, wait, stop. And then he hits me with the car. So then I drew my gun on him. I'm like, bro, stop. What are you doing?
Yeah, okay.
And then he pulled over in this lot over here, called you guys.
Okay, where is he now?
I don't know.
The first record favored the badge. Officers pulled footage from the school's own security cameras, the most obvious, most available angle. When they reviewed it on scene, the read seemed clear. According to the incident report, the footage showed Tom's car striking Brown, showed the two men briefly interacting, and showed Brown walking away. But at no point in that specific angle did it show him raising or aiming the rifle. Investigators told Tom directly that the video did not support his account. Tom pushed back, told officers he had no reason to invent a story like that, and left the school parking lot believing the case and his credibility was already closed.
Yep.
Got that for me.
I want to press charges.
On paper, in that moment, he was the driver making an accusation the evidence wouldn't back. Here's the question worth sitting with, because it's the one the department itself had to answer before closing this file. What do you do when the only camera you've checked clears the man with the gun, and there might be cameras you haven't checked yet? Margate PD didn't stop at one angle. That single decision, to keep pulling footage instead of accepting the first read, is the reason this case exists in a police report instead of a dead-end complaint file. A second video, recovered from a nearby business with a wider view of the roadway, showed something the school's camera had missed entirely. Brown stepping out of the road to wave other cars through. Tom's vehicle inching forward to close the gap while Brown's attention was elsewhere. And then Brown rushing back into the road, slapping the hood and walking to the driver's side, directly out of that camera's frame. Out of frame. Again. The exact same blind spot the first video had. Whatever happened at that driver's side window had now escaped two separate cameras in a row.
Lucky for him, the investigation wasn't over. Officers continued to review other surveillance footage from nearby businesses. An additional video collected as evidence reportedly shows, quote, Brown in the roadway directing Tom to stop while he directs school traffic onto Northwest 15th Street. Brown then walks out onto the roadway as he waves his hands at vehicles in the parking lot. While he's out of the roadway, Tom's vehicle is seen moving forward to close the gap in traffic as he approaches North State Road 7. Brown then rushes back into the roadway in front of Tom's vehicle and stops the vehicle again. Tom's vehicle can be seen inching slowly forward as the defendant walks slowly toward the front bumper. Tom's vehicle appears to make contact with Brown as he slaps the front of the vehicle. Brown then walks to the driver's side of the vehicle out of view of the camera. Once Brown moves to the driver's side of Tom's vehicle, he goes out of view of the camera. Then officers review security video from a nearby nail salon.
A third piece of footage, this one from a nail salon near the intersection, finally caught what the other two missed. According to the case report, as Brown approached the driver's side of Tom's vehicle, the footage shows him raising his firearm and pointing it directly at Tom. Then, moments later, as Tom backed out of the parking space to leave, the footage shows Brown drawing the weapon a second time and aiming it once more as the car pulled away. Two separate instances. Two separate cameras confirming it. Not an accusation anymore, a recording. The first record favored the badge, until a third camera rewrote it completely. Once that footage existed, everything about the case inverted. The driver who'd been told his account didn't match the evidence was now the driver whose account the evidence proved. His cooperation with investigators and the Broward State Attorney's Office picked up immediately because he no longer needed anyone to take his word for it.
Tom then drives out of the parking lot away from Brown. In light of that video, the driver reportedly began to cooperate with the police department and the Broward State Attorney's Office. But now we're going to fast forward to June 5th of 2026 because officers returned to school to take Coron into custody.
On June 5th, 2026, roughly 2.5 months after the incident, officers returned to the school and took Coron Brown into custody. He was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. According to the incident report, investigators determined that Brown pointed his firearm at Tom on 2 separate occasions, that he made a direct verbal threat of violence in the process, and that as an armed security guard required to carry a firearm for his job, he had the documented, apparent ability to carry that threat out.
The police department and the Broward State Attorney's Office. But now we're going to fast forward to June 5th of 2026 because officers returned to school to take Coron into custody.
We're going out with the 13P at 15th Street and 441 Black now. All right. Where is your weapon at? Okay. We're gonna put your hands palms together. Palms together. There you go. Sorry, I know that they're a bit uncomfortable. I'm gonna disarm you, okay? I'm sure you're already aware about what this is from, right? Do I just, is it this?
Yeah, a little.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, we need to...
It's got a quick release on this side. Do you have a buckle over there?
No. He's got quick release over here, too.
You gotta go through my, yeah.
Hold on. Sorry. Alright. So this is from an incident that happened a couple months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they developed probable cause for the incident, right? Which means that they have enough to put out a warrant for your arrest.
Coron Brown was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. According to the incident report, quote, based upon further investigation, additional video evidence, and reevaluation of the incident, it was ultimately determined that Brown pointed a firearm at Tom 2 times, causing him to be in fear for his life. Brown made a threat of violence by pointing his firearm at Tom and stating, "Are you crazy? And I'll effing kill you." Additionally, he had the apparent ability to carry out the threat as he is employed as an armed security guard and is required to carry a firearm for his profession.
Brown was booked into the Broward County Jail, held on a $5,000 bond, and released the following day after posting it. He has pleaded not guilty. His court date is currently scheduled for October 1st. That distinction matters, and it's worth stating plainly. Coron Brown has been charged, not convicted. He is presumed innocent, and it will be a courtroom, not a police report, not this video, that decides what happens to him next.
Coron Brown was transported to the Broward County Jail, where he was held on a $5,000 bond. Online records show the following day Coron Brown posted bond and was released from custody. He pleaded not guilty to his charge. His next court date is on the calendars for October 1st. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Inside the Crime.
What the public record does show, without ambiguity, is that the account accepted at the scene did not survive contact with the rest of the evidence. The first record favored the badge, and it took 2 more cameras to correct it. Step back from this one intersection in Margate, and there's a pattern worth naming. A preliminary read, delivered under time pressure with incomplete footage, almost became the final word. Officers told Tom to his face that the video didn't support him. If the case had ended with that single school camera, this story doesn't exist, and a felony charge never gets filed. The system worked here, specifically because someone kept looking after the first answer arrived. That's not a guarantee. It's not even the norm. Which leaves an uncomfortable question for anyone watching this. How many cases like this one never get a second or third camera pulled, and simply end where the first one did? If you want to look at the underlying record yourself, the Margate Police Department's incident report and the Broward County Clerk of Court's criminal filing against Coron Brown for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon are both part of the public court record. Read the sequence of statements as officers documented them, and ask yourself this in the comments. If that third camera outside the nail salon hadn't existed, what happens to Tom's credibility, and to this case, without it? If this changed how you think about eyewitness accounts versus what a camera actually catches, like this video, share it, subscribe to the Crime Infinity, and turn on notifications, because we don't stop at the first version of the story. We follow the evidence until it's the only version left standing.